Welcome to another deep dive. You ever get this feeling like there's got to be more to a story than, what you see on the surface?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, today we're going to dive deep, headfirst, into a novel that really embodies that idea. We're talking about Janne Kuutio by Elmer Diktonius.
Yeah.
Now, this book, it's not just considered modernist. It's like it
Yeah.
took the whole concept of modernism and just kind of ran with it.
It really did. I mean, this
Yeah.
wasn't just like a new writing style popping up in Finland. Janne Kuutio, it was like a literary earthquake,
Wow.
It shook things up, changed the game for writers, not just in Finland, but even over in Sweden.
Okay, so a literary earthquake. For those of us who haven't read it yet, what was it about this book that caused such a seismic shift?
Well, imagine this. You open up a book, and all the rules, everything you thought you knew about storytelling, it's all gone.
Okay.
Instead of a nice, clear, beginning, middle, and end, you get fragments, vivid, intense, but like pieces of a puzzle scattered everywhere. You're left to put it all together yourself.
Okay, so it's intentionally fragmented. I get that. But why would an author do that? Like, what's the point of all this organized chaos?
Hey, that's the beauty of modernism, and Janne Kuutio nails it. Diktonius, he breaks all the rules, right?
Right.
And by doing that, he makes us confront, how we see the world, how we try to make sense of it all, even when it's messy, when it doesn't fit neatly into a box.
So it's like he's saying, hey, life isn't a perfectly structured story, so why should my book be?
Exactly. And this was huge, especially back then. We're talking early 20th century Finland, a time when, social realism,
Yeah.
the big picture, the heroic figures, that was the norm.
And then Diktonius comes along, throws out the rule book, and says, hold on, I've got something different for you.
Exactly. Something new, something unsettling.
You mentioned fragmented earlier when talking about the
Yeah.
story. What does that actually look like in the book?
All right, so picture this. The novel is divided into 10 chapters, right?
Yeah.
Each one like a snapshot, a moment in this guy, Janne Kuutio's life.
Okay.
But here's the thing. They're not in order. It's not chronological. It's like he took those snapshots, threw them up in the air, and let them land wherever. You're left to pick them up, examine each one, and try to figure out how they fit together.
I can see why this book made such an impact. It's not just reading, it's like participating.
Yeah.
You have to work for it.
Yeah. And it's not just the timeline that's messed up. Diktonius, he uses this thing called, what's it called? Oh, metafiction. Basically, imagine this.
Yeah.
You're reading, right, completely engrossed in this intense scene, and then, bam, the author, he pops in.
He does.
Yeah, he's stepping onto the stage, interrupting the play. He gives his own thoughts, his commentary on what just happened. Sometimes he even contradicts something he said earlier.
Wait, hold on. The author comments on his own writing within the novel.
Oh, yeah. Like right on the back cover, it says, the author sat down to write a modern novel. It seems simple. But in the context of Janne Kuutio, it's this bold statement, like a warning almost. He's saying, buckle up, this is going to be different.
I bet readers were both confused and intrigued. It's like he's almost inviting us to question everything. Like, what even is storytelling?
Yeah, he wants you to think, to question. So we've got the messed up timeline, the author butting in. What else does he do?
Yeah, what else?
He uses the present tense.
Okay.
The whole thing, it's written like we're right there with Janne, experiencing everything as it happens, in the moment. No looking back, no reflecting, just boom, present tense.
So it's immediate. It's like visceral almost.
Yes, you're not just reading about it. You're thrown into the middle of Janne Kuutio's world, feeling all the uncertainty, the immediacy of every action, every thought. And to make it even more intense, Diktonius's language is just as fragmented as the world he's depicting. It's like raw, stripped down, short sentences. Sometimes he even leaves out verbs completely.
It's like every part of this novel, the structure, the language, it all comes back to this feeling of fragmentation, a deliberate break from how stories are supposed to be told.
Yes, exactly. He's challenging everything.
And at the center of all this is Janne Kuutio. Who is this guy and what does he represent? Well, according to our source, Jane's not exactly Mr. Perfect. They call him an opportunist, someone always looking out for number one, driven by ambition, always angling for a way to get ahead, even if it means, stepping on a few toes along the way.
Yeah, it's like Diktonius took the classic hero's journey and said, nah, I'm going the other way. Instead of a role model, we get Janne Kuutio, a guy who really embodies those less noble human impulses.
The darker side of ambition.
Exactly. Self-preservation, getting ahead, even if it means, well, compromising your morals a bit.
It seems even more daring, given what you were saying about the literary scene in Finland back then. This was a time when social realism was king, right?
Absolutely. It was all about the big picture, the collective struggle, these larger-than-life heroes.
And then, boom, here comes Janne Kuutio, this deeply flawed, complicated guy right in the spotlight.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Janne Kuutio becomes more than just a stylistic experiment. It's a statement, a commentary on, the human condition. It's exploring those big, uncomfortable themes like ambition, disillusionment, the compromises we all make.
It makes you wonder, was Diktonius trying to hold up a mirror to society? Exposing the hypocrisy, maybe, the ambition hidden beneath the surface of those grand narratives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's definitely one the text encourages us to ask. But then it gets even more interesting when you consider the idea that maybe, just maybe, Janne Kuutio represents a part of Diktonius himself.
Hold on, are we saying Diktonius is putting himself into the story? Because we already talked about the metafiction thing, but this feels, I don't know, more personal somehow.
Right. It's different. It's not just him, commenting on the story from the outside. It's like he's using Janne to explore his own inner world, the good, the bad, all of it.
So it's almost like by writing this character, putting him on the page, Diktonius is able to confront those darker impulses in himself.
Our source suggests that Janne, he's like a vessel for all that. Diktonius' cynicism, his doubts, even those darker impulses he maybe didn't want to admit to.
So he's taking those feelings, those darker parts of himself, and by trapping them within this very specific form, a modernist novel, he can, I don't know, understand them better, maybe even control them.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it? It's like he's saying, look, these doubts, these darker thoughts, they're part of me, but I can't let them control me. So I'm going to give them a voice, a form they can't escape. I'm going to write them into existence.
And by doing that, he's not just challenging these literary conventions. He's forcing us as readers to face that same complexity within ourselves. This whole idea of confronting those inner demons, those less flattering aspects of ourselves, it's really resonating with me. It's like, how often do we try to ignore those parts of ourselves, pretend they're not there?
Right. We all do it.
But Diktonius is like, nope, let's drag them into the light. Let's look at them, even if it's uncomfortable.
That's the power of art, right? To make us look at ourselves, question ourselves, even when it's hard.
Okay, so we've got this fragmented form mirroring the chaos of early 20th century Finland. And at the heart of it, this deeply flawed character, Janne, who may be a reflection of the author's own internal struggles. It's a lot to process.
A lot to unpack, definitely.
And yet, even with all that, it feels strangely relevant, even today.
It really does, doesn't it? It makes you think, does Janne Kuutio still resonate with us in our modern world?
It really does make you think. I mean, it's been, almost 100 years since this book came out, and here we are still wrestling with those same big questions.
Right.
Ambition, disillusionment, that darker side of human nature that Diktonius wasn't afraid to explore. It still feels, I don't know, relevant.
It's like, even though the world has changed, some things, they stay the same. Those basic human drives, the choices we make when we're under pressure, when the stakes are high, those are timeless.
Yeah. It's like, by tapping into those universal experiences, Diktonius, he managed to write a story that goes beyond just, a specific time and place. But, and maybe this is just me, there's something about the way Janne Kuutio is written, the style, that feels surprisingly, I don't know, modern.
I know what you mean. It's ahead of his time, for sure.
The fragmented timeline, right? The way, as readers, we have to assemble the story ourselves bit by bit. It reminds me of how we consume information today, in this age of social media and constant news feeds. It's true. Think about it. We're scrolling, we're clicking, we're piecing together these narratives from little snippets of information, just like we have to do with Janne Kuutio's life.
Exactly. It's like Diktonius, he somehow predicted how fragmented our lives would become.
He understood how our experience of time, of information, it would change. He was way ahead of the curve.
And that minimalist language we talked about, that also adds to the feeling, right? So he's not giving us all the answers. We have to lean in, pay attention, really work to understand.
You're not just reading passively. You're part of the process, actively creating meaning alongside the author.
And that's something I've really appreciated about this whole deep dive. It's not just about, absorbing information. It's about having a conversation, engaging with these ideas, even if they're, challenging. Sometimes the most important thing we take away from a book, from a conversation, it's not the answers. It's the questions that linger.
The ones that stay with you.
Exactly. So as you go out into the world, maybe pick up Janne Kuutio, give it a read. And as you're reading, ask yourself, what resonates with you? What
Hmm.
parts of this story, the characters, the themes, what feels relevant to your life, to your own experiences?
It's a journey, for sure. A deep dive into Janne Kuutio. It's a deep dive into ourselves, isn't it? It's about confronting those parts of ourselves that we sometimes try to hide. And maybe, just maybe, finding some beauty in that discomfort.
Maybe even some truth.
So until next time, happy reading, everyone. And remember, keep asking those questions.